Good morning, everybody. It's day 35 of my vlog. It's called Trusting God When He Calls You into the Wilderness. Before I go on into that, I have not been able to maintain the 5 days a week of vlogging. I'm hoping for 3, and I think I can still do that. Maybe 4. So today is Trusting God When He Calls You into the Wilderness, and it's based on Deuteronomy 1:31 through 33. This is kind of a personal story of my call into the ministry, into the wilderness, if you will. How God brought me here, to Waterloo, starting in February of 2000, or even before that. But by February of 2005, God had made it clear to me that I was now going to go into full-time ministry. My wife, in February of 2005, underlined in her Bible Deuteronomy 31 through 33, and she wrote next to it, "Trust Him." She knew that I was going to head into the ministry, that this was happening, and she was coming along. And she underlined and put the date by the verse, and then wrote, "Trust Him." A year later, February 2006, I had actually become the pastor of Waterloo Baptist Church. The journey to what I saw as the promised land, that was pastoring full-time, had begun. And my wife rightly saw it as a journey through the wilderness. And so I was installed as pastor in 2006, February. The verse says this, the verse that we're, Deuteronomy 1:31, 32, 33 says this, "And in the wilderness, where you have seen how the Lord thy God bare thee or carried you, as a man does carry his son, in all the way that ye went," and then it said this, "until ye came to this place." In other words, there's a history of God carrying you. "Yet in this thing, you, God's people, did not believe the Lord your God, who went in the way before you." In other words, He was already there ahead of you, "to search you out a place." He found the right place for you to pitch your tents, in fire by night, to show what ye should go, to show what way you should go, and in a cloud by day. There's so much in those verses, but these vlogs are short. If I have learned anything at all in the wilderness of pastoring, it is this: trust God's leading. Fire by night, it's dark, it's hot. Trust God. Giants in the land, which was a big problem for God's people following Moses. Giants in the land, trust God. Abundant fruit, and the land was a land of plenty. God's leading always has enough. Don't forget the hand of God. Keep trusting Him. The people God calls you to lead, they're fearful and unbelieving. They can't believe that God would tell you to lead them here, into the wilderness. And they're making their unbelief makes the journey, an 11-day journey, into a 40-year journey. And boy, how many pastors get frustrated with that? Well, trust God, because 11 days or 40 years doesn't mean anything to God. Personal failures as a leader, and Moses had his failures. Personal failures as a leader. Trust God in the wilderness. In the wilderness, whatever wilderness God is leading you through and in, trust His leading. You may not know this, but the average pastor leaves the church that God has called him to in less than 2 years. Well, if God led you there, trust His leading. Quit leaving. Don't leave. Do not make God angry with you for not following and trusting him. Deuteronomy 1:34 says this, and the Lord heard your unbelief, that's paraphrased, and he was angry. Well, yes, he led you, he's carrying you, he's got a history with you. Trust him and stay put. Remember that God carried you in the past and he will carry you in the future. Trust God in the wilderness. If you seek his leading, it is easy to see. A fire at night is easy to see, and a cloud by day is easy to see. God's leading is there for you to follow. So trust God in the wilderness.